Hello, friends. Welcome back to Get Happy Be Fit. Lately, we've been talking a lot about how to be productive, how to stay on track with your goals, and how to weed out the reasons behind the excuses we make so that we will stop making them because being productive and taking action is imperative to progress. But having balance is also imperative. So today, we're going to talk about those days when we literally just can't even. And I feel like a lot of people are having a lot of those days right now. I mentioned in the last episode that I have days when I have to introvert super hard by reading and or watching TV all day in order to recharge, and that is a form of self-care for me. So I consider those days productive, even though I don't really get much or anything done on those days. But it took me a long time to own that I needed to do that for my sanity and that it didn't make me a lazy person. In fact, by taking those days, I'm way more productive and much happier the days following. But there is a fine line between just not wanting to do something and needing a self-care break, and that is going to be different for everyone. And the key to knowing what that line is knowing yourself, knowing your tendencies, knowing what you need when, and not judging yourself for it. Personally, if I'm feeling a little grumpy and irritable, but I feel like I have some energy, a lot of the time on those days, if I get up and work out or clean or create some content for YouTube or my podcast, basically if I'm productive in some way, I feel a lot better. But then there are days when I want to get stuff done, but my brain just isn't working. I get mentally overloaded and can't focus. And I am a highly sensitive person. So on those days, I tend to be very weepy at the drop of a hat. I get overstimulated by the tiniest things, like too much light in the room, the TV being too loud, the dogs barking, my bra or my ponytail being too tight can send me through the roof. And so when that stuff seems uncontrollable and overwhelming, I know I need to take some steps to take care of myself in a way that is effective for me. Now, some people would hear that and be like, you needed a self-care day because the room was too bright and the TV was too loud? Suck it up, that's ridiculous. And that's how I felt about myself for a long time. I hated, and I mean hated, this aspect of my personality. And I still do sometimes, but I used to just judge the heck out of myself for being that way. It honestly made me feel completely worthless and just so high maintenance that there was no way that anyone would think I was worth being with. I would get in this headspace of, what the F is wrong with you? Why can't you just focus and get this done? You cotton-headed ninny muggins. I actually used much harsher language than that, but it was in my head and not suited for public consumption. So I used a Buddy the Elfism. But I would get so frustrated with myself and not treat myself like someone I love. And that's what we should be doing. Talking to ourselves like we're someone that we love, taking care of ourselves like we would a loved one. Because beating myself up has only ever made the problem worse. It doesn't help me be more productive, and it certainly doesn't help improve my mood. But I had that suck it up and stop being so sensitive crap shoved down my throat for so many years. So for a very long time, I didn't know how to take care of myself in an effective way that would actually help improve the situation until, and here is another of many plugs for therapy, I went to a psychologist who told me that being a highly sensitive person is actually a psychological diagnosis, and the suck it up and just do it mentality and assuming I'm ridiculous for feeling that way makes the problem worse. So knowing this about myself allowed me to simply notice my reactions to things and adjust accordingly instead of getting pissed off at myself for not being quote unquote normal. But even if you're not a diagnosed highly sensitive person, we all have to know how to take care of ourselves. We have to know when it's time to push and get things done when we don't want to, and we have to know when it's time to chill and recharge. Right now, there's a lot of content online including this podcast, encouraging us to be productive and to work out and not take this time of social distancing for granted. And I do believe that is great advice, but everyone is going to handle this situation and the type of stress it produces differently. Maybe trying to force yourself to be productive every day is causing more negative reactions than positive. Maybe you feel paralyzed with fear on some days and literally just can't get off the couch. All of this is okay. No one else gets to decide what the best thing for you to do in this situation is. People can give you advice and encouragement, but at the end of the day, you are the only one that has the ability to understand yourself well enough to do what you need to do to feel happy, healthy, and functional. But you do have to be honest with yourself and subsequently not judge yourself for what you find. Because maybe you do feel okay and you're just sitting on the couch because you just want to, when you could find the energy and you would feel better if you got up and worked out. So it is good to be honest with yourself and find that balance. I'm obviously a huge advocate for exercise right now, even just in the form of taking a walk or just moving more throughout the day, because it does release those happy chemicals in the brain and is scientifically proven to improve your mood. But if you have a day where you seriously feel like you can't move off the couch, don't sit there judging yourself and feeling bad that you're not doing anything. Even if you do feel okay, but you just want a chill day, that's okay. Own it, sink into it, and enjoy it. Relaxation is not your enemy, just like food isn't your enemy. If you splurge and have some pizza or ice cream that puts you way over your calories for the day, it's definitely not worth it if you sit there feeling guilty the whole time. If you're going to have a lazy day, sink the heck into it, relish it, enjoy every second, and let it bring you a sigh of relief and a smile to your face. Same thing with eating foods that are higher in calories and more, comfort food right now. If you're making the choice to eat it, enjoy it. Savor every bite and let it bring you joy, not shame, because shame is never beneficial ever. Just make sure you find balance without judgment. It is possible to have too much of a good thing. Being productive, working out, relaxing, eating high-calorie food can all have negative repercussions when done excessively, even though some of those are labeled as good things and some of those are labeled as bad things. There is a time and place for everything. Moderation and balance is key. So just own your choices, know yourself, and take care of yourself. All right, that's all for today.